Hey, everyone. Welcome to What Would Dorsey Do? Dorsey Pruder, the CEO and founder of the Conscious Co-Parenting Institute and creator of the High Road to Family Reunification and many other reunification protocols that actually help you reunite with your beloved children. So welcome to What Would Dorsey Do this week. We're going to be talking about professionals and are they helping or hurting your family situation? Are they helping you reunite truly? Or are they actually causing more delays and more harm to your family? So let's dive in. Every day, we speak to parents who've gone through so many programs, worked with so many professionals, and all are saying the same things that they keep talking to people and showing up for therapy and they're getting zero results, usually making matters worse. And some people on my team speak with people every single day that are really, really struggling with years, sometimes decades of complete cutoffs with their children out of sheer frustration of like professionals not helping in any way, shape, or form. So today I want to talk to you about the importance of actually hiring the right professionals, people who can actually help you heal and recover your beloved children. So let's dive in. As a formerly alienated child and having been a formerly alienated child and now reunited and helped my dad reunite with his other children who he was alienated from, I've got very extensive experience, not just from my personal perspective, but also from all of the families we've been helping since 2006. And I just want you to know that you're in the right place here in the Alliance. And if you're following along on YouTube, welcome there as well. So as a skill-based coach, I focus on helping empower you with the skills and tools and resources you need to actually recover the unbreakable bond and heal the dynamic that you have with your children once and for all. And I hear professionals complaining all of the time that targeted parents don't listen and they can't get the alienating parents to participate, and they get really frustrated, or they spend years working with you only to come up empty-handed and throw up their hands and say, you know what, never mind, nothing I can do here, this case is too difficult, or the parents are too difficult, or you, that targeted parent, aren't doing what they say, and they give up on you and your family. What's actually considered abandonment, if you will. So we see it all of the time, and it's very common, and it leaves parents feeling helpless, feeling stuck, feeling like the professionals don't care about them. There are tons of people in the professional community popping up all over now trying to help parents, but most of them, some of them aren't parents themselves. I was listening to somebody, a professional who's been around for a long time, her podcast or some video she had up the other day, and she actually said, she was actually complaining about me, and said some professionals give advice to parents about showing up and you should respect your child's boundaries and wishes. I was like shaking my head and rolling my eyes. Like, are you kidding me? You have no idea how to deal with this family dynamic if that's your advice. If your advice is to tell parents to just give up and walk away and to respect a child's boundaries, i.e., not show up as a parent when you're a normal range, unconditionally loving parent. It's absolutely absurd. So I'm seeing a lot of advice out there. I'm seeing people copying what I've been doing for years, trying to give the right advice and trying to help people. But those parents that have been working with even those coaches are coming back around to us to say it's really surface level. We're not able to go deep. We don't really understand. It's like, I feel like I'm being blamed and no solution. So many parents believe that their children hate them. They are searching for an answer, and oftentimes will go to people who tell them what they want to hear versus telling them what they need to hear, and also what they need to be doing. So I really want to talk to you today about the professionals surrounding your family, your divorce or your separation or the family law case, but mostly in the mental health and even the coaching profession, since there are a lot of coaches cropping up all of the time. And I really want to talk to you today about allying professionals to really support you in moving your situation forward. So really moving you out of disconnect back into the place of reconnection with your child. So resurfacing your unbreakable bond. And one of the first things that our clients do when they're on this path to really having a solid family dynamic or solidified bond resurfaced again is to realize that they need to do the research on qualifying the professionals that are specialized in this family dynamic. And I'm not talking about professionals specialized in the dynamic known as parental alienation using that vernacular, because unfortunately, the mental health community surrounding your family that is still using that old vernacular, they are following an old methodology that doesn't work. They're sort of shape shifting into the resist and refuse dynamic, also useless. That is not a proper diagnosis. It's not going to get you a treatment plan that you need. Even when these people say they understand what's going on and they can help you, they can't. We work with parents every single day and they come to us and say, yeah, my therapist knows about parental alienation, or my therapist understands what's going on. I'm like, great. It's good they understand what's going on. Do they understand what the solution is? Are they working with you towards recovering your children? Do they understand that this is possibly a child protection issue and not a child custody issue? Or they're trying to work within the construct of custody and leaving the child with a psychologically, emotionally abusive parent. And oftentimes the answer is that's what they're doing. So not every child in this family dynamic needs protection. And a lot of times you, as the chosen parent, can shift how you're showing up and actually recover your children, even when you're in this dysfunctional court system and dealing with the dysfunctional professionals. So when you're searching for a professional to really work with you, you need to consider the qualifications and their experience in dealing with actually solving the problem. So not for one or two or five or six families, for all of the families, for hundreds of families, they actually solve the problem. It's not enough to just work in the industry. It's not enough to just work with the family dynamic. It's just not enough. You need to work with people who actually know how to help you solve the problem, who actually recover families, and work with the children, who actually recover the children. So it's a scary world out there. There are a lot of people trying to remain relevant in this space, trying to remain an expert under the guise of parental alienation, and they're duping you into believing that they can help you when in fact they cannot. So it's important to not only find a qualified professional, somebody who is experienced in actually recovering children, somebody who was a child, who actually understands what it's like to be an alienated child. There's a lot of people saying that too, but do they really know? How long have they been a recovered child, and have they recovered their family dynamic? In other words, are they rejecting one of their parents still? That's still a fractured family dynamic. And there's a lot of adult children rising up, and I'm not blaming them. It's really important that the adult children rise up and we rise up together and our voices are heard. It's mission critical. As a formerly alienated child, when I rose up in 2006, I was really struggling trying to get somebody to help me, and all the professionals were rude and disrespectful. All the alienation professionals pushed back. They didn't care. They were like, just reunite with your dad. Well, you're the child. You should know how to do it. It was really shocking and very disheartening. And so it's really important that the children's voices are being heard, and also if they're helping you recover, that they have experience in recovering families, in working with you and the children, and also they've been recovered themselves. So it's not enough to just discover what's happened to you. You also need to be recovered. You need to heal the family trauma. And when you have unhealed trauma, you still act out in protest and anger. Okay. So an unhealed, alienated child is still angry. Okay. Still in protest. Of course it's natural. Of course they are. That there's nothing wrong with being that's really, really important. And recovering your child requires you to also move into the position to understand it's not up to the other alienated children, it's up to you. So when you're getting the support that you need and the guidance to recover your kids, you want to make sure you have guidance on how to actually solve the problem within your family dynamic. And once you have the right professionals, then you really need support in what is the right reunification process, right? Is the leader of your family, you, the chosen parent, leading the family out of the pathology? That means you're in charge of the professional team, whether it's the lawyers, the guardian ad litems, the minors counsel, the mental health providers, the coaches, everybody on your team. Those are team players on your team. You're the leader. Okay. So it's not enough to just hire a lawyer or a therapist that knows about alienation or claims to be an expert. All of that is useless. Alienation is a very complex and challenging issue, and it can significantly affect the relationship between you and your child for decades if you don't handle it properly. And so it's not a diagnosable pathology, and lawyers and therapists who are focused on that vernacular, again, in a professional setting, are leading you down a path that solves nothing. So you're facing this crisis in your family, and it's crucial for you to do your research and to hire competent reunification specialists. So not alienation specialists, reunification specialists who have a successful track record in recovering families that can actually work with you and sometimes with you and your children. So the legal and therapeutic process currently surrounding family court is very, very dysfunctional. So it's essential for you to take an active role and leadership role in your family during the legal and therapeutic process, the coaching process, whatever process you're engaging in. This means being able to demonstrate your role as the authentically loving and protective parent while also working collaboratively with the professionals working with your family. So as a leader of the family in this context, it's important for you to communicate effectively with everyone involved when you're resolving this pathology. This includes communicating clearly about expectations, goals, challenges faced both by you and the child and the other parent, and ensuring that progress being made is trackable. And if there are any setbacks that you're experiencing during the reunification process, the sessions or the court proceedings, that the professional working alongside of you, the consultant or coach, knows exactly how to help you get out of that entanglement. So you need to be the leader. And as the leader, it's not about being a dictator, right? It's about leadership. Leadership isn't about dictation, right? It's not about being a dictator. It's not about you do, you do, you do. It's about guiding. These are my expectations. These are my goals. These are the challenges I'm facing. This is the support that I'm looking for, without pushing your children or the professionals further and further away. And oftentimes the targeted parent pisses off the professionals because they get stuck and destabilized, right? It's very easy for you to get emotionally destabilized in this family dynamic, of course. And so the professionals, when you start to point out that they're incompetent, they don't like it. There's a lot of ego bruising that happens, and they dig in their heels and they push back. And the pathology in the incompetent professionals, which pushes their buttons, really puts them in the position of, because they're wielding their own power and coercive control over you, puts you in a position of the backseat, and they're in the driver's seat. And so you want to be able to ally them to you on your team. So being actively engaged as a parent requires you to be patient and resilient while still resolving the pathology in the family and having long-term success, not just short-term success. And if you have a short-term setback, not allowing that to destabilize you. And I've talked a lot about, the emotional stabilization and building your foundation and building the walls of resiliency and trust and communication so that you can really go the the distance. And when you have that foundational piece in place and you're working towards this recovery, then you move into the space of being able to communicate with the professionals that are specialized in treating this pathology. So it's like finding a needle in the haystack. A lot of professionals are really stuck in the old mindset. There's a new crop of people popping up. I mean, they're even saying, they're copying what other families that have reunited are doing. So they're copying people like me who've been around a long time recovering families. So you can go to the new people, or you can come to somebody who's actually been doing the work for a long time, who actually works with you and your children. I see there, Dennis, that you're saying you're stuck. I highly recommend connecting with us, somebody on my team, and talking about how we can help you move forward. Most people get stuck because you don't know how to move the people on your team forward. And a lot of times the professionals are allied with the pathology through the child because they're listening to the voice of the child, which is just the voice of the pathogenic parent through the child. And they go as far as they can go and realize they're not going to be able to help you. And so they drop you like a hot potato. And this just really exposes them for not being able to help you. And they see that they're more afraid of the pathogenic parent than they are of you. So one of the things that we do in our Reconnect program is we empower you to ally the professionals. We empower you with being stabilized and the tools and resources you need to ally those professionals with you so that you're more dangerous to their livelihood than the pathogenic parent. And it's not enough to go marching into their office with Dr. Childress's books and say, hey, here's how you do it. They don't want to hear from you like that. So you have to know how to approach them. Otherwise, it leaves you spinning and in the defense mode. And you should not be in therapy for years and years and years. It should not take years to solve this problem. It should take, it really can be solved in a matter of days. We solved this problem in 4 days in the high road. And then there's some long-term care post-workshop for the reunification maintenance care, okay? But generally, when we work with families with a 90-day no contact, that's it, 90 days, sometimes longer if the pathogenic parent doesn't get on board. But having an ally working with you and with me, if we're working with you, really allows you to solve the problem in days and months versus years. Reunification does not happen in a vacuum. So if you or your children are seeing a reunification therapist, individually, no, that is not going to solve the problem, okay? When you're armed with the professional ally blueprint, then you're ready to tackle getting empowered so that you can empower the professionals to assist you in recovering your family. And this is how we are getting mental health providers to fold in and working with us. We are training mental health providers to become reunification coaches. And we are also working with parents just like you so you can recover your own children. And if you're stuck, depending on where you are, then we can meet the needs of you, the beloved chosen parent, wherever you are, depending on your situation. So you need to have a plan. You need to have a goal, a vision of where it is that you want to go, and a plan. Without it, it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that it sticks or something's going to work. And trusting that these other people, like reunification therapists, which there's no such thing, are actually going to solve the problem. So it's important for you, the chosen parent, not only to find a solution and the right professionals, but also organize yourself into the plan and organize the plan around what it is that you want versus what it is that they tell you that you want, right? What it is that they tell you sort of in this elusive, don't really have a plan. I'm just going to meet with the children and see how it goes. No, if you're meeting with a mental health provider who is a reunification specialist and their plan is to first get to know the child, then this is the problem. Okay, this is just feeding the pathology, and you're not going to get anywhere with that. Many of you are experiencing the outcome currently because the incompetent people around you, like the lawyers and the guardian ad litems, minors councils, therapists, reunification therapists, parental alienation experts and coaches who all claim to be solution focused and they're not. Many of these people are stuck themselves and it is a racket. And you have to be very conscious about what it is that your intentions are and who it is that you are hiring to help you resolve the problem. And then the last step, really, in understanding, allying the professionals, is learning how to really incorporate their advice into your personal growth and relationship building toolbox of the chosen parent. So I coined the phrase the chosen parent in 2017 at a conference that I was speaking at with professionals and parents. And I really was presenting the solution. And at the end of the day, there were a lot of people, they were just tired. There were a lot of speakers, they were kind of boring. And I really just leaned in and spoke from my intuitive knowingness, and this beautiful, knowingness came through me, and it's just really stuck ever since. And the chosen parent means that the child is choosing you. They're choosing you because they know you're the healthy parent. You're the healthier of the two parents, and you're going to do the work. You're going to lift the family out of the pathology. And when I again went through my own divorce in 2003 and really discovered what happened to my family in 2006, social media didn't even exist. There was really one website that I discovered and found a woman in Los Angeles who was teaching a class. I came out for the class and discovered it was a certification program for a parenting class. And that was really the beginning of the journey of solving this problem. And the truth was, she didn't really have a solution either. Nobody really was solving the problem. And I was stuck. So my dad was diagnosed with cancer and I had to solve the problem. I had to figure it out before my dad passed away. And I did. And not only that, I discovered that it was actually happening to me as a parent, but because my children were younger, it wasn't taking hold. So I figured out what was going on and how to not only solve it, but prevent the pathology from taking hold of my children. And my children are 23, almost 24, and 26. And I have a beautiful relationship with my children, preventing the pathology from taking hold of them. And I recovered my relationship with my dad and also the children he was also alienated from. So I bring to you a wealth of wisdom and knowledge from my personal experience as a parent, my personal experience as a child of this family dynamic, and then starting the Conscious Co-Parenting Institute out of sheer frustration of there not being a solution and solving it for people. And now we get court ordered all over the world to recover families in the high road. And one of the things I discovered about 6 years ago was that the chosen parent can actually recover the children and not need a high road. And there was a point in my life, I never thought that that was possible with some of the most extreme cases. And what I discovered was that going through the process, our reconnect process, and guiding parents through really building the foundation, understanding the alienation, understanding your trauma, and healing from your own trauma situation, your own experience of how you got in the situation in the first place, then communication, then resiliency and trust building to move to these reunification, creating the space of low pressure communication and connection with your child. Even the children who refuse to be reunited, they're only refusing because they don't feel safe and they don't feel heard and they don't understand. And because you're pushing, you're in a convince and resist dance with the children. And it doesn't matter what comes first. It's a natural human dynamic, convince and resist. Convince, where parents oftentimes are trying to convince the children and the children are resisting. And this is the convince and resist dance I've been talking about for almost 2 decades now. And it's part, again, of human nature. And so there's a shift that needs to happen from targeted parent, which is the stuck victim mindset, into the chosen parent. The chosen parent leads the family out of the pathology. So the old explanation or the old experts of alienation, no solution. Chosen parent, when you shift from being a targeted parent to a chosen parent, you realize you hold the keys. Everything you need, you already have. It's just sorting those things out in a healthy way so that you shift how you show up, so that you magnetize your children back to you. They start folding back in. You become the soft place for your children to land. And a lot of people I see in the comments here, um, children that refuse to be reunited with an alienated parent, that happens all the time. Um, the children that are refusing to, go to therapy, right? Because oftentimes therapy is useless because the therapist, they're not helping them either. They don't know how to support the family, how to support you, how to support your children. So the children don't want to go to useless therapy that hasn't been helping them. So they're not going. So you have to shift how you're showing up. You have to shift how you're communicating by illuminating the truth in a way that guides them back to reality. So you have to be illuminated to the truth that you are the beloved chosen parent. You are the parent the child is actually choosing to lead them out of the pathology, back to the place of wholeness, back to the truth of unconditional love. And I see this stuckness all of the time. And I remember having this conversation with Dr. Childress before we filmed a bunch of videos many, many years ago. And the light bulb popped up in his head when I said this ends when the chosen parent, when the targeted parent shifts out of the victim mindset and realizes that they're the leader of the family, and it requires the internal healing, the work that you need to do in order to actually recover your children. And I created Reconnect, High Road. We have many other programs. I see some people are like, we can't afford the Reconnect program. I understand. We actually have other online courses that you can take, like Higher Purpose Parenting. Higher Purpose Parenting allows you, it's a beautiful program that guides you through the deeper healing processes so that you can actually shift how you're showing up. So shifting within yourself. And I remember when I was first starting out, and really in the first several years of doing this work, and I was really afraid to stand up because I was constantly being attacked all the time. I was being attacked by the Gardnerians. I was being attacked, still are, by the haters of the non-believers of the alienation. And, a lot of people, the domestic violence crowd, who believes that all men are abusers, and when dads get divorced, and that all women are domestic violence survivors. And unfortunately, that actually hurts women and men that are actually experiencing domestic violence. And both can occur, both exist, and it's child psychological abuse. And when we frame it properly, we understand what's going on, then we can move out of this space of stuckness. And I really had to move out of even really allowing myself to stand in my own power, in my own authentic voice, as a beloved chosen parent, as a authentic alienated child who is recovered, and also as a reunification specialist, somebody who actually does the recovery work. So when I reconnected with my dad, it allowed me to really put those other pieces together of really understanding his perspective from being in the legal system. It really helped me understand the perspective, like when we tried to reunite and it was really dysfunctional. So it allowed me to really have a full, well-rounded perspective of understanding, even from a perspective of the parent, even though I am a parent and I'm also a bonus parent, and recovered my beloved, one of my bonus children who was alienated, and prevented it from taking hold of the other one. So I also have that experience. And so the reconnect process is really guiding you through regulating your emotions, deep understanding of decoding this family dynamic within your own family, and then setting your reunification plan. What do you want, right? What are the steps you're willing to take? What are the steps that you need to take in order to achieve the goal that it is that you want? And what is the goal that you want? You can't be vague in what it is that you want. right? You need to know exactly what it is that you want and be clear. Be clear with your messaging. And when you have professionals that are resisting, you have to go in and say, how am I communicating to the professionals what it is that I want and the plan that it is that I need in order to achieve that? So if you're working with a reunification specialist and they're willy-nillying around, then you have to be clear on what is the treatment plan, what are the goals, what are the objectives, how do we know if it's working? If it's not working, then what? You need to have that stuff up front. And if you're already in it, it's okay to go back and ask for it now. Now, just remember, if you don't ally them, how you communicate with them is mission critical. You can't go in there with Dr. Childress's book and say, here's how you do it. They're not going to like that. And leadership questions are, I'm really grateful to have somebody on my team. Here's what I know. I could be wrong, but these are the things that I'm struggling with right now. I'm seeking your support on communication. Here's how I plan on communicating. Can you support me with this? Okay. So you want to engage them in their support in helping you move your family forward. So resiliency, this comes before allying the professionals. If you don't know what it is that you want, this comes before allying the professionals. If you're not clear, then they're not going to be clear. So if you're wishy-washy, they're going to be wishy-washy as well. The work that you have to do, the solid foundational work, that's the first part, okay? The communication, shifting how you communicate, second part, right? Building your resiliency skills so that you're not getting destabilized if you have a setback or they're pushing back. And then rebuilding the trust, showing up consistently for your children and shifting your mindset. So if you're wishy-washy again in your mindset, you're going to hold everything at bay. And once you have all of those in place, then you can start to ally the professionals. And this is what we cover in the professional ally module inside of the Reconnect program. And it's really important that you understand how to communicate with these people, because they will, and they know, especially if they're already resisting you, they already know they're incompetent. So they're never going to admit it. My team and I watched a documentary from the 90s last night that a client provided to us that was about the recovered memories and the cults and the recovered memories therapists. And a lot of these people are still around. These recovered memory therapists are working with your family. They're just like, they kind of slunk over into the family court system. And these are unhealed people who are working with you and your family. And so the more you do your inner work and heal, the more you will attract the people that you need to support you, right? The people that are willing to do the work to recover your family. So as an alienated parent, choosing the right program for your reunification, I know it's a daunting task. And there are a lot of knockoffs and a lot of unproven methods out there. So you have to do your research. You have to find reputable organization. You've got to keep a clean record of what it is that you want. You need to know that you're working with people who can actually help you. And you also need to look within. Where do you need to shift? So if you're pushing forward and you're still stuck, ask yourself the question, what is my goal? Am I clear on what my goal is? What do I want, right? What have I done thus far? What's working? What's not working? Why isn't it working? Okay, so you need to ask yourself those questions. Why is it not working? And when you have the answer to those questions, then what is going to work, right? What is going to take me from point A to point B? You have to have an effective methodology based on the principles of leadership as the chosen parent. So wishy-washy, unpack that. Okay, I'm running late for another live I have to do, but I will unpack that now. So wishy-washy is, I just want to reunite with my kids. Wishy-washy is, I just want to have a relationship. Wishy-washy is not clearly defined. Okay, so hopefully that is helpful, Dennis. And Leslie, I see I've done the healing. The shift hasn't happened yet. yeah, you've done some of the healing. And also, I would get really clear. What do you want? Write out your plan. And, I've had several conversations with you. So, I want to say your personal situation. However, allowing the minors council, for example, to really run roughshod over the situation is not good. This person in particular, in your case, um, has a lot of things that she has done that I find professionally inappropriate. I know you know what I'm talking about. And these are things that will continue to hold the child at bay. That person is not motivated to solve the problem. So it's attracting the people that are motivated to solve the problem, which means you might need to get somebody else in that role. Or in my opinion, that is a useless role, because that person is not helping you recover your kids or recover your child. And and that person has been involved in your case for a really long time. Again, it doesn't take that long. So this person that is supposedly helping you is not actually helping you. Also, the communication. I know you had stopped communicating for a while, and I'm pretty sure you've started communicating again. You have to be consistent and in your communication. Her contract is up and she's going away. Woohoo! That is actually really good for you. That makes me really happy. Um, Good, because that person in your case was a professional who was absolutely not helping and absolutely thwarting the success or any forward motion with regards to your situation. And because your situation and the pathology that you're dealing with, that person that, dealing with that level of pathology, you need somebody who actually understands that level of pathology for reunification. Even in the mediation process, as if you get into that mediation, I mean, it's really hard to mediate with terrorists. And this is what what the pathology is. It's psychological terrorism. And the child is held as in captivity. You can't be passive. In a passive stance, the energy you put out is passive. So the energy of, well, if this is what they want, or tiptoeing around, what the child wants. This is just fueling the pathology that somehow the child is elevated in the family hierarchy. PAA and counseling and McCready's program isn't doing it. I don't know who that is, but that doesn't surprise me. So it doesn't surprise me at all, because we get calls like that all day, every day. Most of those people, completely clueless. They don't know how to solve the problem, and therefore they don't solve the problem. And they just continue to kick the can, kick the can, kick the can, kick the can. So, is there a training that addresses how to be a chosen parent? It's the last question I'm going to answer, because I actually have to do a live in the professional group. So is there a training that addresses how to be a chosen parent who leads the family out of the pathology and addresses psychological, emotional abuse, that also addresses spiritual abuse? Yes, higher purpose parenting, reconnect, and higher purpose parenting. So reconnect is 9 modules, a lot of content, guided healing sessions with me in group sessions, 2 a month. You get a one-on-one coach that will guide you through the reconnect process, and also access to the Chosen Parent Collective. Really beautiful process. It's very deep. Higher purpose parenting will allow you to go into some of those places. It's a beautiful course. It's just an online course, also very robust, and can help you with really accepting and standing in your power, empowering you, right, with the role of the chosen parent. So you can start with that, with higher purpose parenting. And if you're ready to dive in and really be supported, I highly recommend scheduling a call with somebody on my team and speaking to them about Reconnect, where we can guide you through the deeper process. Okay, I got to roll. I'm actually doing a live now. I'm late in the professional group. We are training professionals, so we are doing our best. I'm doing my best to get the training out to professionals. So if you know a mental health professional, guardian ad litem, minors counsel, lawyers. If you know anybody who you feel would benefit from becoming certified as a reunification coach, a reunification practitioner, guiding them through the process in your local area, then send them our way. Happy to talk to them about our training. It is also very robust, and there are monthly calls with me where I'm guiding them through their specific cases. So if you know somebody, send them our way. Be happy to talk to them about the certification and training. So you're welcome, Leslie. Love you guys so much. We'll see you next week. Have a great one, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye for now.